Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a presentation from Vinay Krishna from Ledger Fee. So he has total experience of 26 years in software engineering. He's a technocrat turned founder. He has built a reputation for working where stakes are highest and the failure is not an option. In technology cycle obsessed with speed, Mr. Vinay has chosen harder problem to solve, the trust. So he is also a founder of Pingala Software and LedgerFee. Pingala Software's secure communication platform LedgerFee has two major products, Ledger Mail and Ledger Chat for enterprises. Both are closed loop secure communication products built for defense, government bodies, health institutions, BFSI players, and large enterprise operating under strict regulatory and cyber resilience requirements. So basically here the privacy by design is the main focus and not as an afterthought. So today he's going to present an important consent management for the DPDPA platform, his new innovation. So please start. You are
Okay,
welcome and you can start the presentations. Thank you.
sure. Thank you. Thanks, Srivasa, and thanks, Navi sir, and entire FDPPI team here and the members for giving us this chance to present this solution to you people. Actually, if we will talk about more on the consent management and all, right, I know that you guys are already well equipped and you know that it's just like we are trying to explain somebody who is all more knowledgeable than us. So we are a technology guy. We know that how to build the solutions. So maybe it will be a quick check from you guys, like, okay, whether we are on the right track or not. And I would also like to introduce my colleague, associate Arvind Viswas, who is also in this field almost like 26, 25 years. And he has worked quite a large time on the BFSI. So we are going to present this solution to you guys, and we'll be really looking forward to the conversations and the questions, so that we should be able to, at first level, we will be able to test this whatever we have built. Okay, over to you, Arvind.
Thanks, Vinay. So let me present you the thoughts around it. Why consent management, and why even our government and other over the years, different countries has also brought in these compliance and regulations. The thought is, rather than having a compliance burden, to a strategic advantage, so that we can improve everyone's life and have a proper traceability on the various numbers of the consents what we give it to at every forum. So we're going to talk about it up in that, why it is, why, how, and how we can do it up in terms of a technology also, and what are the various, and looking forward for your inputs and direction to make it further. um, why I think, let, to start with, from overview perspective, right? So consent, basically, we as an individual, right, has our all personal information, and we give that personal information consents to the other organization. And it is a trust, right, which we build among the individuals and organizations. Like we go, and whenever we use any software, like I was just I opened Zoom today for this webinar, right? It asked me, first basic things, accept all cookies. So nowadays we have started seeing it up. It's like accept all, reject all, or manage preferences. So these cookies preferences management has been, over a period of a time. Earlier this was also not there, right? But over a period of a time, now it has gone into every system where it is, as an information, it is being stored, right? Similarly, if we talk about consent, be it our mobile number, be it our email ID, be our secure communication for any type of KYC, uh, so, or for any industry, irrespective whether we are in a BFSI segment, or we are going to certain visit in hospital, where we are asking for certain report, we are giving our blood test. There is lot of informations which we have a bonding with an organization, and we trust that organization that okay, that this whatever information I have given is for some specific purpose, and we give it up. So it's basically we are the data subjects and we give it to them. And it is not like okay, whenever we sign any document for KYC or read the document for taking any loan or for an insurance or for traveling abroad purchasing a ticket, it should not be felt that it is just a terms and condition. So every one of us like kind of sign that, okay, these are the terms and conditions where all the big document is there, which state that okay, this behind the scenes lot of clauses are there to safeguard from an for an organization perspective, may not be an individual perspective. I think that's the reason uh, why these controls has come up in form of different regulatory authorities from a government, as well as a need and essence has been established for it. So it has to be freely given, like Arvind is given. It should be on my free will. I should be able to understand it in a granular level in a proper way, for my full name, my mobile number, my Aadhaar number, my PAN number, or from a blood work, what things I'm giving it up. And it should not be like ambiguous. And if there is a need for me to have an opt in and opt out also, like it should be for specific durations. So these things are some of the for if we see for a genuine consent, these are the must have kind of things which is needed. And this has been thought through as during the DPDP audit, that consent is central to global data protection and privacy regulations. So similarly, just to extending what we have talked about earlier, so it should not be like a lot of time what we see is it checkbox on the system, right? There's no option, it's a pre-text box. So it should not be felt like that, okay, there is a pretext. It's as simple as that. Newsletters, we when we log in into certain system, it says okay, it should, there are certain check boxes which are auto tick. So it should not be like that. So there should not be implicit opt-in. There should not be passive consent, that okay, for Arvind, let's say I'm giving an Aadhaar number for my loan. I, as an NBFC, certain organization is using and collecting my data, but it is also sharing that data with UDI or third party organization which perform certain actions and given results, like as simple as CIBIL score. My PAN number is shared, but it is needed for by an NBFC, but a passive consent has been given that okay, for PAN validation or for CIBIL score, I have to interact with these, five other organization also. So my data is also rotated. So it should not be like that. Second is the right to revoke. I should have a right to, revoke it up. I should have a certain system as an Arvind, Vinay, or anyone should have a as a way to inform. It should not be like there is a certain call number where we call, or we go personally visit into those office, fill out certain forms. So there should be a way and mechanism where we should be able to withdraw the consent. There could be also exception to the consent, that there is a legitimate interest. That's fine, like there is certain dues at me, and I need to share the data. So I think those are the some of the exceptions where as a third party, when we see that okay, consent and non-consent, right, where there is a consent which is explicitly needed and it is an interest for this, or for a medical industry, like it could if consent is not there, then one cannot start anything. So there could be an exceptions also. Similar to that is legal, obligations and criminal records. If certain agency has to fetch it up, they shouldn't come and ask. So there could be an exceptions also. So from system perspective or from an individual perspective, like for Arvind, Vinay, or ABC as a person, or from an organization perspective, there has to be a way or certain use cases which need to be adopted by, or provisions has to be there. So this is what are our key requirements from a consent perspective whenever we are dealing for any personal data in any form or in a shape. So so I think considering the background, like what we have talked about in previous slide, I think more or less our we have seen that adherence also. Now government has opened up these regulation not only in India but also apart from India. GDPR is in place from quite some time, CCPA, HIPAA, and there are data protection laws. There are a lot of penalties also associated with it, and there is a need for a robust consent policies and controls. So if we see in the essentially in a placeholder that all the systems need to have a consent management in the place, similar to what I say is like these days, uh, every one of us has user ID and login, or an associated social token like email ID, where we log in with our credentials, or with Facebook, or with an Insta or LinkedIn, right? And then behind the scene all the authentication happens. So similarly, similar another example which I gave earlier during the starting of the discussion is cookies, right? Earlier the data collection was implicitly happening, but somebody thought through why one a person should have an also a reject all option or managing those cookies. So those systems are over a period of a time has imbibed into the journey of a data protection of an individual. Whereas what I feel is the system perspective of a consent management system is still in works. There are a lot of organization and individuals teams are working in, but there is a centralized essence for each and organization to adopt this consent management system. So it has to be added as a core system in any organization. So, what are the key aspect of a life cycle for a data and for a consent? So there are two ways to look from that perspective. First is collection of the data in the form of any fields what we input, or we put it in the paper form. Then store the data, and then the processing of the data. Certain actions are taken on our data which we have provided up, and then modification of the data. Okay, I should have, let's say, given a certain data of my mobile number. Now I should have a provision to change the data or certain other things historically. And then the revocation of the data, maybe for it is for 30 days, 180 days, or 365 days, or never ending story. So there should be a, from a consent perspective or from DPDP perspective, we need to have that revocation also as an option, and then archival of the data, and ultimately destruction. So there are, I think what we feel here is collection is happening, storage is also happening, processes is also happening, but other three aspects are there in certain places, and certain places it's not there also. Similarly, from a data perspective also, the we have collected the data. Similar to the generation of the data, then we also transfer the data for validating the data to the third parties, or from a selling purposes, that's also happening, and using it up, and then sharing the data, or storage and archival and destructions. So these are the core aspects in terms of a consent life cycle which has been stated in our act, as well as certain actions on the data which is being performed. So whenever we are building consent management architecture, one has to look into these aspects and has a auditable and traceability in the sense behind the scenes for the same. So how does, if we see, from there are different roles also which has been defined for this is, so this is an architecture where we can say is one there in terms of a roles, we can say data manager, reconciliation manager, consent manager, which is then very much important aspect. One has to appoint consent manager, user interaction or consent collector. So if we see the different stages in, like, that has been explained is, so let's say user interaction happens through a consent collector. So we call it a consent collector, and the data goes should go to a data controller, and for consent manager who validates the consents. Okay, what is the consent purpose, and then gives a permission that okay, this is needed or this is denied. So consent manager has an authority for consent validation, purpose, expired and revocation. Then the data manager, like earlier I talked about that, data. So what data purpose of the data, that generation of the data, implicit or explicit transfer of the data to a third party, or use it up or share it up, and storage. So these are the certain operations which is being done on the data. So these are the some of the mandatory life cycles. And then a context, so any change is happening, so there has to be notification to the change authority, or there should be a way which should help that okay, there is a change happening on my data. Oh, okay, now if there is a change happening in terms of somebody is let's say I recently got I have an account in Central Bank of India. So there was, they pulled my CKYC record. Now every NBFC or has to use CKYC as a mandatory step. So there has to be a notification to at least a user, or what says is okay, rather than notification, I should give that privilege, or somewhere consent manager should authorize that transaction, right? So that is that context of the change management is also important. And ultimately at the end of it, a reconciliation report should be able to publish, which gives that traceability. Okay, this has happened within last 30 days, 60 days, or to the data, and that should be submitted also. So these all aspects has to be taken care in terms of a consent platform architecture point of view. So then coming down to the implementation stages, so there are as any project or anything which is from an IT perspective or an operational perspective, is first is to like kind of analyze it up. What are the current practices happening it up, and how that organization is currently managing it up. So analyze phase. So it's not only about the system adaptability, but design that new processes and creates a certain templates and workflow which is aligned to the previous slide of our overall consent management architecture, and then have them integrated with the existing flows, automate it up, build the interface in all the CRM, DL, or any systems, and then test and deploy, and then monitor and refine those update meeting the compliance requirements. So that's the last phase of. So these are the certain stages. What we feel is that these are necessity uh, for any organization to go into the adoption mode for consent management system, whether they use it or not use it, but they should follow the architecture point or blueprint, which I think I explained in the last two slides. Then what is so maybe we somebody implemented the system, but I think another aspect is cultural aspect, which is also very much important. I think making sure that awareness is there, like I talked about cookies example, more or less, like everyone knows now, a standard pop-ups will come on cookies. So awareness and ensuring, I think, which a lot of role has been played by behind the scenes by your team also. Uh, so making sure that consent process is established, and what's changing, what are the impact either on employees or the customers or the users, and then knowledge awareness, what are the privacy and what are the consent rules, and what are the control requirements which should this. And then we need to train also uh, people who or employees who collect it up and build a capability around this. So these are the certain cultural aspect also which are must needed for any system, and it's a journey or a roadmap which need to be done to ensure that we all get aligned along with the consent management and the act of PPDP. So I think so far I have explained you. If you're okay, then I can show the thoughts around it up and how system could handle these aspect.
Yeah, Arvind, you can go ahead with the demo now.
Okay, just allow me a second. I need to share.
So these were the thoughts behind this application, right? And that has worked on to come up with this solution, right? So we will be able to look into that, what we were talking about there.
Just allow me. Can you see my screen?
No.
Not yet.
Okay.
You please share your screen and then perhaps use the demos.
Okay.
Are you sharing your screen now?
Yeah.
Then you open the demo, it should come. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can close. Yeah, that's okay.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. So what I talked about is this is just a first step is for any organization there has to be a system that okay, for data perspective, which data I am using it up, and what I want to configure those data elements which I am collecting it from the customer, my customer. So what are those data elements? So I should have from system point of view, have an ability to collect that data and throw a page which should be, so there should be a configuration which helps me to do it up. So I've tried to create certain these configurations, and this also has to be in a vernacular language also. Let's say if we are talking about an hospital, right, where a patient has come up for his data processing. So what we should have a control for any hospital entity who should be able to configure it up, like okay, I am able to configure it up, I am taking the data for that patient in terms of a name, mobile number, and I should have an ability to, like, let's say we usually now take Aadhaar number also. So Aadhaar number, so I should be able to configure it up that in a system that these are the fields which I am taking it up as a data, and then whether it is mandatory or not mandatory, and I or masking is there or not, and how many digits, like what should be, I should have an ability from a system perspective that okay, I can mask it up or keep it mandatory or an optional, and an overriding facility that okay, uh, okay, I should have an overriding that okay, after 30 days I have to reinitiate the consent. or it could be if I don't provide it up, that's fine. Overall, for all my field, I should have an option to do it up. So this consent, first step is to create a configurations, and then whatever I have created up, so I should have an ability in terms of what my customer is going to see in that page. So let's say for treatment and billing, a patient is saying, I am hereby giving consent for collection, storage, and processing of personal medical data for hospital treatment, billing, and regulatory purposes. I understand that I may withdraw my consent any point of a time. So this is something that should be available. Right now, what we talked about is there is no implicit way, right? It just by default, we don't use this language that okay, I am I should have an ability to give a consent or withdraw my consent. I think that cultural aspect also, or system provision also has to be done. And then one should be able to add it up into that language, any form of a language, English, Hindi, Punjabi, or any, all the 27 languages or wherever. So once we save it up, and then we should be able to preview it up. Okay, Arvind has given these things, uh, uh, like foreign this, so page whatever a customer is showing it up should have these ways. There they can see it up, and then they should have an accept and decline. So this is first step in terms of consent configurations. One should be able to keep, and they can make it active, or in a draft mode with a proper version control. Okay, this is I've created for, this is my some applicable from 15th of March, and this is applicable from certain date, and this applicability is different time. Similarly, like for ENACH, we give a lot of permissions for ENACH. That what is my, this is an NBFC case, so loan account number, bank account number, IFC case, EMI amount. So these are the some of the, when we fill the document, either online or offline, these are some of them which comes us in the form of, those papers or a PDF document. Whereas when I am filling it online, at that point of a time, I don't see, I am giving it as a as a consent, where I am saying that I authorize these things. So this is first step is for a data to collect it up, and then what are the things of a data what we are trying to collect it up. So system provide this an option, and then once my options are created it up, configurations are created it up, then but we can see it, and then let's say we have given it up for different individuals, right? So in a behind the scene, like let's say we talked about hospital industry or a loan processing, right, earlier application. So then I should have that option to visualize it up. Okay, how many records which has been accepted are being there, how many sessions have been created. Like okay, sometimes page might has opened, but then nobody has done KYC verification, it is just viewed. Sometimes it has been submitted, and or it just in created stage of a life cycle. Remember that data life cycle we talked about data. So this is the data life cycle which is part added as a part of an auditability, as a system record, that nobody should be able to allow data. Similarly about the revocations, that okay, these guys, like when we talked about a consent manager role for an organization, so they should have an consent manager who has done the revocation of it. Somebody has called it up that okay, these records should be revoked. So that provision the system does provide. Then there are different kind of, we can see about overview, different life cycle of overall. I think since different life cycle or different overview of it. So there are different reports. One should have an ability. What was the purpose of it? What are the active consent? What have been revoked? If any action somebody can take it up. There are certain which are as a system perspective alert mechanism where okay these consent of these individuals are coming it up. Are there any compliance issues or gaps, or which we can define certain rules into the system which says that okay these are coming it up, and there could be a policy gaps which are being observed that okay for this purpose you needed five things, and now additional regulatory has come is you need to capture another sixth element. So if the system has a capability to as a built-in rule engine where these can be shown as a compliance engine, compliance issues for an administrator or a consent manager who can come and see it up. Then I think the another question comes is every like how can we internally test it up or how we can integrate it up with the existing systems. So more or less like if we say systems uh, this system also has to know that okay these has to get embedded up. So there are certain technologies, so this system provides those technologies that how to do it and sample codes also, that okay if somebody has to do it up and if the other side organization isn't doing an implementation on Node.js, they should use this as a sandbox URL and a key to do it up in this language. Similarly for Java, so these are some certain languages one can use it up to do it up. So this provision also is being made into this system. And then certain configurations if somebody has to have some safety and security measurements in terms of any tenant or time zone, or adding certain uh, session timeouts that okay if somebody is accepting it up maybe only 10 minutes is applicable, after that the reinitiation of session happens, or in simple language we can say is a timeout period. So this consent management system, this provide an organization an ability which helps to provide that data lifecycle which I talked about on storage, transfer, use, revoke, and an auditability and traceability and certain definition of policies and rules. So this is overall I wanted to explain. The system is still in work, and we are looking for this as from learnings and a lot of feedback, or maybe
Yeah.
you can add it up.
Yeah, right. So there are lots of improvement required. We know that, and we are working on that to understand the subject more widely, deeper, and all. Whatever we have done based upon our observation, understanding, when we have worked on that particular domain. So that's what we have come up with. And like webhooks, right now we are supporting two language, right? We are going to support the other languages also in future. We are going to add those code base there. So yeah, that's all from our side. We are open for the questions or any suggestions that you have or your feedback.
Yeah, I'm sure Deepthi or somebody will be having some thoughts.
Subaraidu sir.
Yeah. So, sir, is this consent manager solution certified for any framework as of now, ISO or SOC 2 or anything? Or because the tool will still be storing a lot of data, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's a
Right.
cloud-based solution, I assume, right? So
Yes,
uh,
it's a cloud-based solutions.
so all the clients who subscribe to your tool, their consent-related data will be stored in your solution in your database, or how is it built?
Yeah, so there is two way. Right now we have designed in that way, like it will be on the SaaS model, right? Yes,
Mhm.
but we are also open for any white labeling somebody wants, right? So that is
Okay.
like they in that on prem or something they want to set up this. But
Yeah,
yeah, more majorly it will be SaaS based. Yes.
yeah,
So
even if it
what?
is SaaS, the question is more about if the clients use this,
Mhm.
the data that is residing in their database will come and sit in the database of your application, right?
Right, right.
Yeah,
That part will be whatever is
yeah.
there,
So
right?
you'll
That
store,
consent related information
yeah,
will be sitting here.
will
Yeah.
be stored and processed within your service. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll also need some certifications and
Yes.
to
So
demonstrate.
mostly what we have we are doing it. We are going with the Azure, which is providing some like a SOC related solutions also.
Okay,
So yeah, but that will require definitely.
okay, okay. Yeah.
So thought process, just to add what Vinay said, is like all cloud providers, uh, like Azure, AWS, or Google for that matter, provides their SOC controls. They provide SOC to type 2 reports as well. So ultimately, thought process behind the scene in a SaaS model is any organization which is doing it has a privilege to take the data out of the system in form of a traceability and other connections, because that's the data is owned by them rather than a Pingla or us.
And what we've seen is mostly, all these organizations, particularly B2C, the consent part will be integrated into their sales process and all those things. Right? So you might have to integrate with maybe a CRM system or other transactional systems, right? Because so have you built any connectors with different uh, CRM systems or something like that, or ERP systems, something like that?
So thought process here is uh, like I explained that when I was showing the demo. So there are let's say if somebody has to uh, uh, embed as simple as Google Ads, right?
Yeah.
Or they want to see, on any web page. So there is a script. What they need to do is they need to embed that script into the system, like the way the cookies work right now. There's a lot of, content. It goes to a separate thing. And so what is going to happen is, let's say any CRM solution will get a certain script um, where they need to put it up, and that script will call a SaaS model or a on-premise, like Vinay said, and then it will throw up a page or the this page where they are doing configuration, or if they have their own page, they can send that styling element to this, so that just system records only the values out of it. So
Okay.
that's one way of script which they can use it up to embed into the system, or they can have if they in the pre-existing systems. Or the other way is, let's say they want certain component from us. If like nowadays most of work is done on mobile applications, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So if they want an SDK kind of it, that okay, that
Mm.
this I need an I just want to, like, most of the operations, what happens in on the mobile is sometimes, let's say we are doing a Paytm or transaction or phone pay transaction, right? So we fill in certain amount, so certain, then it goes behind the scenes to with the bank to authorize it up. So that portion is kind of an SDK, right, with them. So that can be also provided to any entity that uses it up and leverages the consent management. So behind the scene, it goes to again to a, in form of an APIs to the SaaS hosting platform.
Right, right. So just to add here, like you might have seen, there was a one section webhooks. So webhooks, what he was talking about, right? It will get embedded to their system. They have to just copy that code, and they have to use in there, and rest things will be taken care, right? Otherwise, what he told, like for mobile, we can have that SDK, or even the API also we can expose, right? Some of the API.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Hi, this is Irfan here. I have one question regarding the legal entities position. So, in addition to consent manager, can we also say that your role would be data fiduciary and data processor both? Because you are hosting or you are having all the data, personal data from the individuals for whom you are managing the consent, and at the same time, you are processing it in some way on their behalf.
So I think more of a data processor aspect, Irfan, because the fiduciary aspect is still with lies within ownership of the data in a SaaS model, right?
SaaS model would be, I mean, that would be just an space, right? It would be owned by you, or you will be accountable for that SaaS model, right?
No, no, no. So SaaS model, I think. Uh, See, there are. I think. See, SaaS model is. It could be like a, okay, let's say I have taken a subscription of sending an SMS, right? So whatever, I'm just responsible for that system who sends the SMS, right? But to whom I am sending the SMSs, that is the responsibility of other party, right? So I have given you a platform or a software solution where data I am also not doing it. I'm just processing your data uh, on your behalf.
Okay. The way I was, I mean, I understood it is that, for example, I am an end user. I want to access something, and I want to take your widgets as a consent manager. So maybe if I have to share them my Aadhaar card, it would first go to you. Or maybe I will have to register on the system. All the details are there. The Aadhaar card would be there with you, and then you will manage my consent to that service that I am opting for. So you have my data, Aadhaar card, for example, and you are processing it on my behalf. That was my understanding. Please correct me if I am wrong here.
No, no, you're right. But there is, I think, let me, share my screen. Just the way I would like to explain is, see, so let's say Irfan or Arvind is a consumer, right, or a customer. I am trying to give an Aadhaar card into a certain system, right, for certain purpose, correct? So let's say I want to travel to. I'm booking a ticket, right? And while booking a ticket for US, I have to give by birth date also now these days, full name, passport number, these details. So I am like on Air India website. I'm filling these details, right? These details. So as an Arvind is filling the detail in the Air India system itself, right? But right now, when I am filling this data in an Air India website itself, uh, I have a terms and conditions written there that okay, but Arvind doesn't have possessed that capability for usage of that data for which purposes. So that Arvind has to have that transparency that okay, Arvind's data can be used it up, right? These 5 things, correct? And then I should have an ability that okay, I purchased a ticket, that's it, done for that purpose only. Now my data should be archived or destroyed, right? Once my trip is over, right? So here what I was telling about is Air India is going to can take this solution from us where they can embed into these certain fields, and then they can transparently show to Arvind if there is a need, or they themselves has a traceability that okay, that Arvind has given me this content, it has to be destroyed in next 10 days because the you know uh, trip is over, that's it. So it will enhance the capability of an Air India to manage their system accordingly. I hope I'm able to explain you.
Oh, okay, got you. So you are basically saying Air India will take your services as a consent manager.
Right.
I was thinking it the other way around, that me being the individual who is going to opt for some services, so you will be acting as a consent manager for me, and you will be managing actually consent for all my consent for on my behalf.
No, no, no,
Oh,
no.
that is possible. Let's say then we will get the system
I
to
mean,
be
that's what my
lot.
understanding about the consent management manager concept from the DPDPA. I'm not sure how the Tagi sir is interpreting it.
That is also fair. That is also there that one should have an ability. Individual should also have an ability for giving and consent. Uh, so I think, but I explained you the thought process. What I
Got you, got you.
Srivatsa, any thoughts?
Actually, I had one question here. I think we during the demo we saw the consent configuration as such, and in the consent configuration we saw different types of configurations like KYC, some many other consents. With that, I feel that this whole system caters to many consent activities as such. It's not a restricted focus, not exactly focus. It does not have a restricted domain space where you will cater to only BFSI or only to hospital industry or to travel industry or like that. So given that, and you also mentioned that you're on a SaaS platform. So have you looked into aspect of scalability here? Because the moment you are offering your services to so many verticals, the number of consent operations could be very high. So how exactly have you planned for the scalability here?
No, so for each enterprise, right, who is going to use this, right, they will be creating that consent configuration for their own need. It will not be like okay, whole entire consent will be there as a configuration for everyone. It does not make sense, right? Suppose a bank or NBFC is coming, right, and he is getting related to consent which is for the hospital, right? So basically when he is aligned here, he has to create that all those configuration, right, based upon what he is required in his context.
So you will have multiple SaaS deployments as such
correct, correct, correct,
for
Yeah,
correct.
it
So
each
will
use
maybe
be
case. Okay.
yeah,
multi-tenancy will be there.
Okay. All right. So multi-tenancy for different verticals as such.
Yes, yes.
I mean, even in the same vertical, if you have multiple customers also, there will be multi-tenancy there for
Yeah, yeah.
individual customers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay.
The pseudonymization. Okay. So many of the other consent managers have been using pseudonymization within their system. So you also need to look at
Yep.
integrating that, which will be useful. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you, Arvind. Thank you, Vinay. Okay. So we hope.